We're live. Welcome.
Sweet. That's what I
Hi,
wanted.
everybody. Hi, everybody. My lovely friend here, Liz, has some things she wanted to say this evening. So we thought we would just go live with it because that's why we have a channel, right? So we wanted to go over a couple things. I have a little list so we make sure that everything gets covered. But I know that you wanted to start with something that's really been bothering you. Slander against someone who you care about.
Yeah. Well, my first comment was going to be, man, I'm so glad I went with the Hogwarts shirt because I really was about to wear that tank top. But it's, unfortunately I went with Hogwarts instead.
You know what? We can't be goth all day, every day. All of us, they're going to start to wonder.
Yeah. Twinsies. So on the slander piece, I've come across quite a few things where people are saying that Jeffrey did all of this. And it's, in case you're wondering which Jeffrey, that's Jeffrey Augustine. He played the part that he played in this. No matter what people want to say, is I was scared doo-doo-less in regards to actually going there. And so a private investigator was hired to not only keep me safe, but also be there in case, because again, I'm new to this brigade. I'm new to finding out my dad's alive. And so this whole situation is basically like, it's hitting me like a ton of bricks, and I needed someone that's basically a professional that will be able to protect me. And so even though, I'm a big husky person, unfortunately, emotionally, I'm not. Emotionally, I'm kind of like a stunted child. And
well, also just our verbiage. Like sometimes people know what to say to law enforcement. We had our own internal kind of policing system and we had a different verbiage. So having someone who knows that, we were going to have a private investigator regardless. And this man has been a target of fair game for a long time.
And now he's being hit with more because he helped a daughter try to find out if her dad was alive. And that's not fair. Why do we call him Charlie? Because we talk to him through cell phones and he helps us with information. And that's not negative information. It's finding out my dad's alive. It's finding out, okay, well, I'm sorry, you don't have a lot. I didn't have a lot of information that I could look online. I had the month and day of birth, not the year. I had his first name, his last name, his mom's first name and last name and maiden name. But let's be realistic, people. In the 50s, there were a lot of people that were called Bob. So he could help me narrow it down.
I mean, don't explain yourself. We needed professional help. Everyone, since seeing the video, we did this all a month ago. Okay. So everyone's advice is super helpful, but we've done most of it. And we have looked for death certificates because we've had a professional helping us, thankfully. People have come up with really good ideas, and that's why we have it out here, because we need help, but we need kind of outside of the box help, right?
Yeah.
And attacking the character of somebody who has actually sat with us and experienced this attack. It's not
sat with
fun.
me while I cried.
Yeah, it's really not fun. I guess that might be an intention, is to just like rile feathers. And to us, that's like, what the hell? Like, first of all, why are you doing this to my friend Liz even, and making her even more upset than by attacking someone who's helping her? The whole thing is really bizarre. So anybody who would attack him, I'm just really weary of, because there's only so many people who we know who will actually sit with you as a human being in your grief and trauma and not run away and not tell you that's N theta or
get your TRs in,
or actually the new world version, that's bad vibes, like good vibes only, right? And you and I get along really well with a lot of people who can just sit with you, and I'm okay sitting with you while you cry. I'm not going to be scared. And I needed that when I was being gaslit, when my parents were disconnecting from me. And you know what? Everybody ran away.
Yeah.
And there's really, really
Unfortunately,
few
they do.
people who say, just tell me what's happening and then actually help. Right? So,
Yeah.
actual people who help are so rare. It's very offensive to both of us, actually, because he has been such a helpful person.
Yeah.
Karen is also a mother who's lost a child. So, when you take a step back and look at this whole thing, it just becomes so confusing. I know other mothers who have lost children, and we handle them with like kid
Kid
gloves.
gloves.
And the fact that anybody's attacking this woman constantly, I just don't understand. It's a slow burn out of Scientology. And I guess people have had a whole, well, doesn't she still audit? That's what we've been getting a lot of comments. No, she doesn't. She does not still audit. She did when she first came out, as a lot of people do. They stop at independent Scientologists because they're people who spent their whole life thinking L. Ron Hubbard had amazing technology, right? But it's a slow burn out. And we know that. We've seen it. And it's not wrong for someone to try to think they're helping someone if they can, but then they change their mind and it takes a really, really long time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the attacks are just super silly. And the
And if
reason
you're gonna
why,
do it, get your facts straight. Once someone can ask me, and I'm just gonna say, you know what? I'm proud to be a, is it Charlie's Angels or Chess? Hold on, it was. Oh, now I forgot about it. It's Charlie's SP Angels
yeah,
for the
totally
love
those
of
two
goodness.
angels. Yeah, I mean,
And
honestly, he was like our rock. He kind of gave us courage. You guys were working on part 2 and a part 3 of our adventure, and you guys will see like the coaching through this. We were going to the compound where her father has been kept in the desert where people do not go to, and we needed support. Okay, these people, trolls or whatever, have been making fun of people who were there for us. Jackson, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, you
There's
got Nora,
literally, yeah,
you.
I mean, but even during that specific experience, it's
They were hitting
almost
you.
uncanny. I see people in the chat like, we don't get it. Why are they talking about Jeffrey and Karen too? Well, that's why. I mean, we were there with Jeff, and Gary was on the phone coaching us so that we could be safe. So how dare they like attack people who are willing to sit with us and not be scared in our emotions? And that is why I have spent the last 7.5 years studying effective methods of current psychological research and peer support so that I can best be in the moment with someone and not be a Scientologist about it and say, maybe we shouldn't talk about it if it doesn't make you feel good. Because I know everyone wants to help, but sometimes your stuff is so dark, you need someone really dark to sit with you so you know you don't scare them.
True, because sometimes you
Right?
don't. You're, it. When you start going through the stuff in the past, you realize just how much darkness you went through.
Yeah. And we
So
have to
we
laugh
bring it.
about it. We have to laugh about it. There's this one meme. I don't even know who made it. I reposted it, and it's like me. It's like Homer, like throwing in like donuts. And it's like me, and then that and theta shit. And it's like a deep play on words of like, yeah, give it to us, because N theta is actually Serge saying, hey, you guys, something's wrong with this, or someone saying, hey, I'm feeling like I might be depressed. And then the parents go, oh, that's just like in theta. Let's get you in session.
Yep. Let's run to do everything but what will help.
Yeah, it's really frightening.
Because therapy, honestly, if you really think about it, when you're at your lowest peak, if someone says, "Can I give you a nervous?" when you're thinking of taking yourself out of the equation, it makes me
Mhm.
want to vomit, because sometimes when you're at that low and your brain is telling you that it would be okay to not exist anymore, when you're at that low, you just want someone to sit next to you and be like, I love you. But sometimes you're so low that the I love you doesn't, it goes in one ear, out the other. Nobody loves me. Nobody can care. You're just saying that to make me feel better. But they're not, but that's what your head is telling you.
Well, you know what I do at work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have professional boundaries. I'm not really saying I love you, but what I am saying is I'm here for you and I support you. Okay. And I'm doing that because usually they don't have many people in their life who are going to say that at that point. I work at a center where people are coming off of 5150s, 5250s, or coming straight out of county jail. They come to us sometimes on gurneys, and I'm working with them for short-term periods of time to stabilize them, help get them resources, talk to them, do groups, take them out for exercise, and I write notes about what happened every day. And I work with a team on how to help these people and empower them, right? So, something I want to bring up today is not judgment when we're looking at people, because a, a part I had a problem with in Scientology was that they didn't have anything to help aberrated people or people who were degraded, allegedly, right?
Yep.
And I always was interested in psychology because I saw what they were showing us and these things like about Singer and all this. This is a lot of methods they're talking about in the CCHR museum are so old before there was any kind of ethical oversight boards. So I understand that they have information control over a lot of people. They're showing that information. It seems correct. So until you study it for so long and you have to really know the codes to pass tests and work in the field and you know patient rights and you know what practices are current because you have to for your job. It's a requirement. I have to sit there and do education every day I work. So to see things that are just blatantly false, it's almost does not even require a response to you because you understand that nobody thinks that's real. But when we're dealing with people who we all grew up in this world where all we saw was CCHR posters, maybe it gets a little confusing, right? And we also have to be willing to not if we sit with people and we take their emotions, they can't we can't be mad at them for not taking our advice because we're not trying to control them. We're actually trying to
Nope.
empower them. We actually maybe don't offer advice unless people ask, but just like tell me what's going on. What would you like to do about this? How can I help? Do you want to do it together? Which is how we did this with your dad. And that's why it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to lose things. I've lost a lot in my life, and I have fostered dogs for over 10 years. So I have loved a lot of things whole and then given them away because I know that I need the space to love another thing whole because that's special talent that I have. And I feel that this is a special talent that I have where I have, since working with the people who I work with in one of my workplaces in mental health, I have experienced 3 deaths somewhat recently. And I have to be okay with not asking questions like, what if I did something differently? Because it's not up to me, it's up to every individual if they want to recover, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
hard and it's painful, but that's why I take this so seriously. And we have known too many people who have hurt themselves or needed mental health care and not gotten it, or needed basic health care or elderly health care, like possibly, well, not possibly, like your father, because something's definitely wrong.
Yep.
So that's my spiel for the day. I really wanted us to discuss like having empathy over judgment because something that they do use in our little recovery community could be like um, having, oh, well, that's that, or this is this. And we're very, in Scientology, our brains formed to be very judgmental and very black and white. Not judgmental like bad, judgmental like we studied the tone scale. So we didn't have a choice but to like analyze if someone was uptone, downtone, and then how we were supposed to change it. So it does take conscious effort to not do that and then to embrace people. My point of saying where I work is like, how would I be able to help anybody if I was like, well, they're just a bad person? No, we are the professionals designated to help these people recover. If I believed that at all, that people were just horrible, I mean, they really have to do a lot to prove to me that they're just going to be, I guess, sociopathic and enjoy hurting others and weaponizing empathy. But it's really rare I reach that conclusion, right? We have to like believe people
Give
can get
everyone a
better.
chance.
Yes, somebody has to do it. Like, I'm sorry that everybody hates people who do such egregious offenses sometimes. But when I was in classes, I had to have a lot of discussions out loud about how am I supposed to help someone who has hurt other people. And that's a point that you have to deal with when you're working in mental health and come to terms with alone or with mentorship. But like, this is a challenge. And straddling the worlds is a challenge for us, huh?
Absolutely. I can honestly tell you that are we allowed to say names like the people that helped us or
You're
no?
allowed to say whatever you want to.
Okay, so there was two nurses that honestly helped save my life besides, my other half. One of them was Lilium, and the other one I called her Flutterby because I could never remember her name, but she had these ridiculous extensions. Sorry if I'm doing the hand gestures again. But she did. Her eyelashes were like, "Hi, how are you?" It maybe it's because I'm not super girly, but I was like, you know, those are some long lashes. How do you keep your eyes up? But they both listened. There was numerous times that they both just sat and listened to me, and they listened to my childhood, and they didn't go, "That's horrible." They would literally just say, "I'm sorry you had to experience that." And then they would move on to the next subject or get me into like another frame of mind. And honestly, that helped me. And having my other half able to answer the phone when I called. Yeah.
I mean, we're getting people's basic needs in place, and that's what offends me about um, the basic human rights violations that happen in the Sea Org sometimes, because we're helping people get warm showers, beds, driver's license, birth certificates. If they're coming off the street, they need help connecting to housing. They need help getting education, enrolled in support programs, drug and alcohol programs sometimes, or specific mental health support systems, right? And all that is what really helps anybody stabilize. So, like, what are they just doing with all that money while they're believing in things like the introspective rundown, where you can keep people in isolation for that long? And there's things that I've looked at recently in the brainwashing manual that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. You can pull it up online, where he literally says things like, keep them in isolation until they admit they're no, and ask them if they're still an enemy of the group. And like you and I understand how deep that is, because right now
Yeah,
we're
it's the knife
enemies
that
of the
cuts through the
group.
soul.
Yeah, and we're enemies of the group. And then one of
Yeah.
the quotes says something like, confirm that those wanting to leave are still crazy. Like, this is that man's research, okay? Like,
And the
what?
funny part about all of this that gets me is I'm an enemy of the state because I want to see my dad, who they told me was dead. And I want every dad or mom or child, because there is children in there, to make contact with their siblings, to make contact with their family. Just, you know, I love the stickers the most, Bob Ferris needs a day off. That'd be kind of nice. Um, but he is a senior citizen, and what on God's green earth can he be doing at 73 years old that he can't just have a garden, read a book on his own choosing, and be realistic? You have individual you have individual human rights that you don't get there,
So
and
do
I
you want
just want that be
to
known.
talk about what happened just the other day?
Earlier, so I called. I think it's now Officer Miller, not Corporal, but then he said
So
Corporal at
let's
the
just
end.
tell them a little bit though, because I know they haven't seen our whole story, and you guys will see it. But essentially, we're not getting information, and things are coming up in the system like that our welfare check was recorded as a harassment or
Disturbing the peace.
trespassing. Oh, yeah, that's us.
Yeah, yeah. Me sitting there quietly, not screaming at them, just asking as I walked up to the booth. I'm Bob Ferris's daughter. I would like. My name is Elizabeth Ferris. I would like to see my dad.
Yeah.
That's disturbing the peace.
Well, I'm sure you shed a tear, and that was uncomfortable for them. So, how dare you have an emotion, you know?
Very
And I
true.
was there because you thought that they might actually kidnap you. That was the level of terror inside of you. And I told you they can't do that, Liz. And you said, but the last time I was there, they said, we got you for 1 billion years.
You signed a billion-year contract. You never committed to your rest of your billion years. Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of level of mind control they're doing on people, and you fell for it, which it doesn't make you stupid.
Yes, I did.
It shows how
indoctrinated I was.
Yeah, and I was like, we're gonna be okay, and we're taking Jeffrey Augustine, so don't worry. And like, I was telling people who are helping us, like, this is crazy. I want to go live, and what they said was, maybe you shouldn't, because this is something really important. And we don't want to have too much press or anything that would give them any ammunition for thinking this was some kind of publicity stunt, because it's not, right? So we waited.
This isn't to get anyone's hoopla. We didn't go there with bullhorns. We didn't hold up posters. You know, I mean, my other half is well versed in karate, so we were prepared for her to. Sorry for the facial features, but we were prepared. But at the same time, I wasn't doing anything. We weren't doing anything. I was trying not to get hit by a car.
No, I mean,
guess that counts.
The area they quote unquote say we're supposed to stand is essentially like you would get hit by a car. So if you stand there, a car can't see you if they turn in, and they could just take you out.
No.
Or they could just slightly swerve and take you into the road. So
you have leave like a 12-inch. If it's an easement, it's like a 12-inch easement before you're touching traffic.
Yeah.
Like, or 12-inch easement. So
I don't.
I got a size 10. I'm sorry, guys. I don't fit.
Yeah, and you can't ask for information at the booth unless you're on there. So anyway, back to that. So we have been back and forth, and we'll highlight this whole thing more as we release pieces to share with you guys, because it is such a cool way to share with you guys what we really went through, because we were just recording it as we went along. And
on this crazy wild journey.
And we really appreciate authenticity. So being able to just release it and have you guys kind of be with us, it seems really well received so far. And I think that's how we get across what we're going through, is just being a bit vulnerable, but that also opens us up to major attack, right? But we haven't had success. Essentially, we have not had anybody. We've had a lot of people claiming they saw your father and telling you, and we haven't had evidence. And then we've had reports.
We have a lot of
system.
Yeah, reports not in the system, and then you don't have to write reports for a welfare check. But because of what happened, I made the deputy write a report on it.
Well, we just needed to have documentation because
so now I just need happening. Yeah, I would love a copy of it, but in order for me to get a copy of it right now, per the information, I'm being told that I have to drive back down there. And if I'm going back down there, I'm going to let my dad know that I'm still here and I'm still fighting for him. And he has a family, he has sisters, he has brothers, he has nieces, he has nephews that he's never met. So, yeah, I'm not giving up.
So today something had to do with that. They started, Liz had an experience where she felt that she was being watched intensely, how I have had for the last month, where I've had a lot of experience in public as an adult. I know when people are standing behind me and darting out of the store as I pay every single time, or coming up to talk to me for no reason and then following me in a car afterwards. Sometimes fair game is very tricky to prove, and that's the whole point. And then when you start saying it, people are like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you being paranoid?" And since I work with people who actually do experience delusions, something I hear a lot is, "Who are they?" And I'm starting to almost be like, they're doing this. And I see how it all works. And
Yeah.
they're like afraid to even explain what's happening because it sounds pretty intense. Like, who would do that? But like, we
It is.
do know who would do that. We
We
have a
do
history.
know who would do that. We
Yeah.
absolutely. And my experience, like I got followed by a car, but again, I'm driving. I'm not going to record anything. I'm sorry. So that was a little indifferent. Today was at Walmart, and I look up because we're grabbing something, and this guy is intently staring, and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I'm a gay billboard, the gay. So I don't think it's at me. So maybe it's at my other half. Okay. So I make her go down an aisle, and he's got a little hand basket, whoop de whoop, but he's pretending like he's shopping. Okay. So I make her turn down this aisle, and then we let him have 20 minutes to get, oh, maybe 5 minutes. But it felt like 20, to get down to another aisle. Well, he's 4 aisles away, just holding up stuff, putting it back, holding up stuff, putting it back. We go to the kids section because, okay, kids section. Again, he walks right past us, and it's just like one of those things. There's nothing in his basket. And so I'm now paranoid. I'm not paranoid. I'm now freaking out and
But
trying
I
not to
told
have.
you this has been happening to me for a whole month.
Yeah, and I knew it was
So you
happening
kind
to
of
you.
knew it was going to come.
I did. I had an idea that it was going to come, but I don't live in Los Angeles. So the idea of someone chasing me, I'm like, oh my God. Um, and then we go out to another section. We walk back in. He's in the aisle right next to the section where we just walked outside. And then we're like, I'm to a point where I'm like, okay, let's just grab our stuff and go. Like, let's just go. And then he walks right past us again, his basket empty, like didn't grab a single thing. And so it was just like one of those things where I'm like,
They just want you to know you're being watched. That's all. And some of them I've realized, I don't think they're even licensed PIs. I think they're just paying locals to harass. Because there's a couple times recently, there's this woman, hopefully I can call her out and they don't use her anymore because like she's too obvious.
she's been
And I'm
outed.
actually, yeah, like I'm outing you, lady. She's at places I go to that I don't normally. So I've gone to a few places of my choosing in the last week. I don't normally go to. It's not my routine. And when I go in, she just comes up and like she was behind me in line. It was a professional store. You can't shop there without a license. She was so close. I turned around, swung my head, and she goes, "You're safe." And I said, "Okay." And then the cashier said, "That was very weird." The second I paid, she dramatically darted out the door to another man. Okay. So then I was like, well, that was weird. And even the lady was like, yeah, I asked her if she needed help or if she needed to buy anything. She said no. she was just standing behind me to intimidate me. And then, and this has been happening. This was just an obvious example. And then when you guys were doing your live, I was sitting in a park watching it because it had been a long day and I didn't make it home. So I was like, I'm going to sit here and watch it. This woman makes direct eye contact with me and walks by with her partner about 6 times in, I kid you not, various disguises, like sunglasses and like it's so silly. They just want you to know that they're watching.
Well, they can watch.
Yeah, they can watch. So it's nice to catch them. I don't want you to feel stressed out that you have to catch them because we know it's happening. There's a history of it. If we can catch it, great. But don't let that consume your life either. Just know what's going to happen. It's happening.
Yep. You know, right? they can stalk me or, you know, I'm not that interesting, to be completely honest. I mean, I collect comics. I collect Pokemon. I go to work. Like my life is not filled with excitement like that. I mean, it's exciting to me, but it's not where I would want like, hey, did you have a good day following me? Like, I want to say that, but it's kind of rude.
I think that the onus is on us to, for some reason, document the abuses of this organization and hopefully stop some of the things that have been going on. And we didn't actually sign up for that other than that we can't not, because it's too real for us. The pain is too real. And we see how dark it can be because we've lost people because of the mental health issues. So for us, the onus is on us, and we're not entertainers. We did not choose to be entertainers. We're not like, hey, let's start a YouTube channel because we're creators. Aaron put this thing together, and it has been so effective at really, I mean, this is where bombs are dropping every day, huh? Serge is here. I just went and saw him and Laura the other night. It's like incredible what's going on. So to think that there wouldn't be like resources that play to infiltrate, because they have many references on it. If you guys want to look it up, the way that OSA infiltrates and stuff, there's a lot about it that is already out there. So it's, why wouldn't it be here? They've been on Facebook, they've been on Instagram, they've been on that for years, you know?
Yeah, what they did to I don't know her other than Queen Bee, but she had
Amy.
Originally, Amy Scobie. They originally had her YouTube, like her name on YouTube channel with no videos, but like I guess it was like 3 subscribers, and she had to fight to get her name, like her birth name. She had to fight for it.
Yeah, that happened to a good friend of mine too. It's really weird. Also, something I've noticed, people who understand cult mind control tricks, it's very easy to spot when it's being done, right? So the whole language is very important in this. And we speak in a different language. And it's easy to keep us confused when you're using terms and phrases that we speak as our first language, or concepts like integrity, leadership, group member, relationships, things like that. It's so interesting. And then they'll also play tricks with the words, right? So people will say, oh, I say this word wrong. And then you'll be like, oh, was that person ever really a Scientologist? And then they'll let something slip that's like a slip of the tongue Freudian slip, where they call something mocking something up instead of making it up. And you're like, wait, what? And the whole point is to overload our brain with like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This one makes the most sense. I'm going to go with that. It's easy. And it's hard to think
and they're suddenly
through. Yeah. And then we're like, wait, but let's actually like list out the evidence and make our choices. But we're so overwhelmed with harassment all the time that it's you know, a challenge. Hey, I wanted you to talk about your dad's merch.
Oh, that's right.
You're getting 100% of the proceeds, no?
I don't know the exacts on it. I think so, but I'm not positive. It's all supposed to help me with either, you know, the travel back down there, with, you know, if I have to hire an attorney. Um, because going back and forth from Los Angeles to, let's say, San Ysidro, um, that's not exactly cheap. You got to look at it. It's easy $300 in gas. That's not room and board. That's not food. So I don't live like a Sea Org member anymore. When my stomach says I'm hungry, I eat, um, and I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Again, of my own choosing. Um, and then it's supposed to cover everything that we need. So if anybody can surprise me and buy a Bob Ferris shirt, I would love it. You know, hell, the stickers, I would love to be walking around one day and just see my dad's name right across the back. Where's Bob Ferris? Um, it would make my day, honestly. If I see someone wearing a shirt, the same thing. I'm gonna rock my shirt. Talk to my boss. She says I'm okay to wear it the first day, but not continuously because it may lead to some slippery slopes with having to describe what's going on. But other than that, I'm gonna rock it because I want to get my dad out. I want to get anybody out.
Yeah, and I think they have other things too. It's not just t-shirts. They have other
t-shirts, stickers,
stickers,
mouse pads. Oh, and then they have 2 different cups, like a 12 ounce or a 15 ouncer. All I could think was, man, I'd love a 15 ounce for that's a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
And yummy.
Marilyn has a special cup for us coming. I'm really excited.
Nice.
We've had to just really laugh at all of the hilarious things that have been hurled in our direction because some of them are just like so silly. Like, since when has there ever been a D shortage for any woman on planet Earth?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is make everybody aware that nobody here is creators, and we're not only struggling because we were children of Scientology who did not exactly get like the best setup as far as
education,
networking, knowing people. I mean, I knew people. If I wanted to work at Scientology companies for the rest of my life, I'd be fine. I don't know anybody in the real world. I had to do that myself and meet people, and I had to be outgoing. It's like you have to survive, so you have to make connections, right? So we're all.
Go ahead.
No, we're just trying to like literally most of us make ends meet where we can and try to not
put ourselves in a hole.
Yeah, and try to give ourselves things we didn't have if we can, like meals, gas, security, things of that nature. So it's
recording devices. Yeah.
Yeah.
The mic is new. I purchased it.
Yeah. I mean, we have to pay for things like services, StreamYard, all that kind of stuff. So we're doing this solo. And we're not trying to even fundraise. We just want you guys to understand where we're coming from, that this is kind of our volunteer activity. And I want to help Liz as much as I can. This has started to affect my personal security and my personal funds. I will be at some point making merch too. Just literally have a job and multiple jobs and multiple other responsibilities in my life, and are trying to do the best we can to put love instead of hate and fear forward, right?
Yeah. I can't see the chat. Is Goldie in the chat?
Oh yeah, she's been here. So is Juliana. We have 2 awesome mods here.
Nice.
Did you want to say something?
I was gonna see if hey Goldie, nice to see you. If you can post the link in the Blown for Good
for the merch page.
Yeah, and just get you could get a sticker, you could get a mouse pad, just rock it, post it. I would love to see it because it would make my day. And the more shirts that we get out, the more gear that we get out, the more that it's in their face to release my dad or release anybody's dad or mom or child. Sorry, I'm trying to clarify because it's not just him I want out now.
Yeah. And who knows? I think that's how this thing goes, because we're talking now, and then other people start to be like, hey, I remember this guy, or hey, I know Liz, or I know Vanessa. And they're like, oh, snap, that person's out. I know they're not an SP. And then I might watch it, and then our love spreads instead of like weird poison that is trying to come out about it.
Because realistically, once you get out, for me, it took, I don't know about you, but it took me a little bit I'm a jokester. I like to tell jokes. I do it when I'm uncomfortable. I do it when I'm happy. But I also want people to know that it took a long time when I left to actually understand that that's a part of my personality. Other than that, I hid myself, or I Scientology to everybody, like just sugar-coated everything. So that way, no, it wasn't that bad. Just stop feeling bad for me. And then after a while, you stop telling people that you grew up in Scientology because you're treated so broken, or you're treated like they just like, oh God, get away. You're the Antichrist. No,
Honestly, if you can even explain it, because even if you can explain it, most people have so much going on in their lives, and they kind of just want to have fun when they're having fun. Not that that's a bad thing, but friendships should be friendships. That's why I go to therapy. Like, I, of course, lean on my friends when I need to, but they're not going to understand this unless they've been through it. And that's why the people who we talk to in our lives who have been through it, who have been fair game, are so valuable to us, right? Because we're always going to be isolated unless we talk to each other. And they're trying to, like, their whole thing is spinning it so we don't. It's really
correct.
weird.
It's spinning it so that we don't give them the time of day, like, oh God, they're bad. But I'll still tell that story. As soon as we got on that drive and we were driving down there, and the scary part, like, because we got off the wrong freeway entrance, I saw you and I get out of the car, and I was nervous because, being realistically, I was putting my ass out there, going to someone that I had talked to a couple times, listened to a couple of their videos, and here I am, like, I'm trusting you to go to gold with me, and the only thing
you were nervous.
The only thing I can think of is I'm just gonna hug her. That's the first thing, and that was the first thing I did.
But you don't even like physical touch unless it's
I hate
from someone
physical touch.
You know.
I hate it. That shit makes me nervous. Like, please don't touch me. I have a bubble, you know. And unfortunately, you know, as a lot of therapy has helped, I have a bubble because, you know, I flinch if people move too fast at me. And then if I flinch, I immediately want to react with, let me make you, like, I'm going to defend myself quickly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a part of my life.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know that people are taking into consideration, because how could they unless they lived it? When we grew up with all these people, we had very close bonding experiences, right? But we all have different brain chemistry. We all have different things that happen to us in our life, and everyone's going to go down different paths and end up with different life beliefs, views, maybe mental illnesses. It is so lovely to be able to communicate with people who just get it, and they're not.
For me, it's speak the language.
Well, that's true. But what if they speak the language, but they still believe? Because that's been a challenge for me, is leaving Scientology. I've been going to college classes for so long and sitting down, and you say things like this, like, oh yeah, they've been keeping human beings in a place called the Hole. And they go, what the hell? That's ridiculous. Is that true? And like things like that Scientology teaches, people think are just ridiculous in the real world. So then coming back and having to translate into this world, we're not all going to be the same. We're also not all
clusterfuck of emotion.
Yeah, and we're also not all going to be safe with each other or have the same amount of boundary levels or understanding of direct communication. And like communication where you say what you want to say and not just like skirting around issues. Because sometimes I say things and I think people are really hurt by it, and I don't mean that. I've had to learn how to be assertive so people know how to treat me. Like, I don't like when you do that. And I was really sensitive as a Scientologist when people said that to me, because I took it as like, I'm doing something wrong. I was like self-correcting and perfectionist all the time, right? So I've actually been in situations in the past 8 years that were unsafe with me with other former Scientologists in the recovery community. I've had a former Scientologist tell me that the way that they meet women is they follow them home. They ask for their phone number. Yeah. And I have empathy. I'm actually not judging. I have empathy. This person,
Sorry,
I know
just judged.
I know, but it's okay, because this is why I wanted to bring it up. We are allowed to judge for our safety, but that's a quick thinking system. That's our heuristical thinking system. When we sit back, I actually think about how sad it was that this person was labeled some kind of PTS trouble particle as like a child, and people were like, don't talk to him. So, and their mom was in the SO and not there. So how the hell is this person supposed to even learn how to talk to females? And I know that, like, obviously you got to figure it out. And that's why I didn't engage further or have a relationship going forward. I had to teach myself such strong boundaries because I'm an empath. I like to help people. And when they call me like, I really need you, you think I want to like say no? No, I don't. But then I can't help you with this thing that's really important.
But, you know,
picking and choosing.
True. But at the same
time. And having our safety in mind too.
Yes. But, you know, because I know that you love helping people. If you just said that to me, I'd be like, I got it. I understand. Because that's what we do.
Why are you auditing me right now?
No, oh, ew. Ew. Sounded dirty. No, I meant along the lines of, that's one thing I had to come to terms with. That in the process, I may not understand, but I understand wanting to help someone. And I've dropped everything to help someone. And then when the roles were reversed, big flying bird, all through the air.
And I think that something that triggers us is like, we kind of asked for help a lot growing up. I mean, not directly, we didn't really have the words, but I did make mention of like, I'm very upset. I did say depressed, and then I got more auditing. And when I had friends die by, the S word, I got more auditing, and then more people passed away. And so to keep saying I need help and then getting things that aren't helping, it's a little bit challenging. And I think that's what we're trying to break free of, that learned helplessness of like, when we do ask for help, people will be there sometimes.
And sometimes the real people,
sometimes they won't. And the people who are, though, like, we got a major problem with anybody talking about them poorly because they're so rare to have. Yeah,
because, I love talking to you. You and I could sit and talk for hours about, I don't know, grass growing, whatever. Yeah, we do. But it's like with Nora understands what it's like to be the gay and then come out and hit the backlash. And she also prepared her family. But I also, if you want to come after me, come after me. You don't have to. Everyone else is off limits. My family is off limits. You want to talk about my dad? You want to talk about me? Perfect. Let's have a conversation. But my family is off limits. It's not a button. It's not anything to do with, oh God, you have a hidden secret. No, it's called a trigger. And that leaves me going, my family remains safe because I'm the one sticking my face out there, not them. They didn't ask for this. They didn't grow up in Scientology. I'm the one that grew up with a shit childhood, hating eggs. Oh my God, if I ever see honey put on pancakes ever again. I think I will vomit. Molasses. Ugh, ugh. It's no. I'm sorry for all of you that love that stuff. More power to you. I just
It's not, it's not, I think what you're trying to say is that it's the hard part for us is that people who now have nothing to do with this, like we didn't have anything to do with it by being born, but we were.
nope.
And like we've accepted our curse. If you've ever heard the song by Strawberry Alarm Clock, The Curse of the Witches, man, we have accepted our curse. It's hard for us when they start coming after people's children, or making slanderous accusations on anybody who defends us, or like really getting in. Like I'm seeing them really get into like the social medias and like following real people in life who just know us and trying to have these personalities of like, I'm this supporter. I love Vanessa. Let's talk about her. And people just aren't prepared for that. Like we know what happens, but we gotta, I don't know. We need help.
Yeah, because again, my other half, she knows Cariotti.
Yeah, well, true. I mean, she's like very tough, your other half. She's very lovely. I'm so glad you have her.
Yeah, because I'm a giant stuffed teddy bear, except I got a hot head. But other than that, she is the one.
Yeah. And thank you to everybody who has offered us resources. And if you were wondering why if we haven't responded or been super in touch, well,
There's a lot.
there's an entire plan of what they do to people, and how they infiltrate. So we just really have to be kind of no new friends right now, not because we want to.
Oh, I always like new friends.
We love new friends and we love having this community. That's why we joined it. And it was cool until they got
We're
here.
looking for information.
Yeah, until we went to try to see your dad. And
Yeah.
I don't know how long
And
anything has been like going, any operations or anything. But that being said, it
we're
did
going to do it again.
intensify really, really, really a lot after we did that. I mean, have you ever seen anything like it?
No, honestly,
Other than, I mean, Miss Lovely, Paulette Cooper, major inspiration over here.
I've never seen the amount of love for me is amazing. I was terrified that I was going to come out like some sob story, and it's and the fact that people aren't like, oh my God, you had a horrible childhood. I feel so sorry for you. They're coming out saying, we love you. We have your back. I hope you get
Yeah.
your dad out.
Yeah.
If you can't get your dad out, hopefully some other person will come forward and get their dad or their mom or their brother or their sister,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so the amount of support behind it has been amazing. Um, And I do want to say before I forget that we got to get those little break. No, that's my watch. So the little bracelets, we're gonna have to
Oh,
figure if
yeah.
it's like left hand or right hand. And Charlie's SP Angels, and then
I
get him a
love that.
Charlie, and then we get a Bosley. But we got
I
it.
mean,
We're
I feel like Aaron
telling
really
you,
needs to like accept his role as Bosley, but he might have been the Sierra when Charlie's Angels movies were coming out. So we'll just
probably it is very
have to
possible
like
because
Clockwork Orange him the movie.
But at the same time, once he realizes that Bosley is the face that lets everybody know what's happening everywhere else,
Yeah,
he's Bosley.
total. I mean, we're doing something good, and I don't think that we should be afraid. And I think that anytime you want to talk about it, we should.
Hmm.
It can only help your dad. If you guys have any other ideas, any good information. Oh, why don't you tell them what happened today specifically?
Okay. So today I got to talk to Officer Miller because it's not corporal, it's officer. Um, I told him, I asked him again, like, hey, how far away was my dad from you? And he says 10 feet. Okay. 10 feet is a handler or someone responsible for them. So no, that didn't help. He also informed me that the phone number and address that I had given him to give to Bob Ferris so that I could hear his voice, I could hear something, he could, if he doesn't want me in his life, don't be a coward, just say it to me, but actually say it to me, not to through channels. Um, and in that process, he was not allowed to take, like, not that he, I don't know if it wasn't allowed, but it basically, he said, no, I can't take it, hand it to them, which were the people that were standing right behind him, listening and moderating everything. Um, and so he gave my information out, and it just reminds me of a comment that
Wait. He told the officer, he told you,
officer
the
to give it to them,
officer, to give it to who?
to give it to the people that were standing 10 feet behind him.
Not him? Him?
Not him.
Okay. And there were how
So
many?
there was 3 of them standing back there with him.
Okay, so when we understand like the dynamics of trafficking, I just don't understand why authorities aren't taking this more seriously. Like, would you expect like any person who's been like kept in a house for 20 years with someone, like we have these situations, right? They say they're fine for a while because the control is there, right?
Yep.
I just
And
don't
the fear is there
understand how they
behind
don't
it.
get the Stockholm syndrome of it. And so they
and
did
they're
not.
also.
They
Go
have
ahead.
your information now. They have
Yeah.
your address. Okay.
My
Cool.
house in Folsom, yeah,
Super
has
cool.
my address, has my phone number. Fantastic. Now it did remind me of a conversation I had with Jackson, and Jackson made it very aware. When we were all in the heart of believing, and someone would have said something like this, you were fearful of your boss. You were fearful of what was going to happen to you. Or was I going to get put on decks again? Was I going to have to dig another hole? Was I going to get to eat? Am I going to be handed gloves that had holes in them? So when I try to do furniture, all of a sudden my hands are on fire. You're fearful that that's going to happen again. And that sticks with you. And it sticks with you. And so I was told, hey, they may make him say this. They may not make him say this, but he's so scared that he can't say what he wants to say.
Of course.
And if that's the truth, then I'm still going to keep going. And either which way, he's my dad, and he can grow some cojones, and he can literally say it to my face or call me up and just let me hear him say my name and tell me that.
Liz, you thought he was dead for 19 years. You deserve to see his face, okay?
Yeah.
That's all. And you're not being given that. You don't have to explain yourself. You thought he was dead for 19 years. You deserve to see his face. And I don't care how it even goes. You and I are prepared for him to continue with the mind control. That's what normally goes on here.
Yeah.
Like, it just is what it is. So we're kind of prepared for that, but we're really, really, yeah, I mean, that would hurt, but we're also really, really hoping that he blew and like can somehow feel like he's not going to die for long enough to just talk about it.
Yeah. If he can just get out and say what he wants to say to me, the foundation has already said they will put him in a place. They will give him a car. They will give him funds. So it's like, all I'm asking is for him to just get this message and hear that his family cares, that I called reception and I was told in a blunt fashion, oh, he's dead. And it's just like, I will remember that till the day I die, that it was just, he's dead. And I just keep repeating that in my head. And now I know he's alive. Well, I have speculations that he is alive. I haven't seen him. I haven't heard his voice. And Sorry, something just popped up. But yes, it feels like Shelly, and I don't think I'm important enough to feel like Shelly. Well, not me, but my dad, but I also don't know what posts he had or what he saw. But either which way, it does feel like Shelly.
I'm just
And
pulling them up because it's like there are a lot of people here who are agreeing with us and we can't hear them. But I want you to know that, like, there's 116 people watching live. There's going to be a lot more people who will watch this because they care about you. And they are saying, you're right. Like, this is what happened with Shelly. Like, you deserve to see your dad. This is brainwashing. When I was a Sea Org, I would have, a Sea Org member, I would have said the same thing. So it's like, just, this is important. We're not YouTube professionals. That's okay.
no, I'm not. I'm
That's
not
okay.
a YouTube professional.
You're doing it. Wow.
I am talking to a friend, and I'm having lots of other people listen.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, people that, because this just popped in my head, people that think that people inside don't want to escape, that's wrong. Because
Yeah.
I did. When I was a Sea Org member, it got so bad for me that I was terrified of going back on decks. So I ran. I ran out the back door, and I ran down Franklin, and I ran all around the building, and I was almost to Capitol Records, which I could see it in the distance. I hopped over brick pillars and brick fences like I was some in shape person that could just fly over things. I begged for him to just let me go, because all I knew is if I made it to Man's Chinese Theater, there were so many people
Dude,
there.
that's where
I
I was
would
last
be good.
night. Like, I was walking by the Sea Org members because guess what? Like, this is where I grew up. And every year we go and do certain things for my birthday, and we have had this plan for so long. I'm not just going to stop living my life because I'm walking by actual Sea Org members and buildings. And
yeah, because you may not. Some people don't even know they're walking right by a Sea Org member or a staff member. They're human too. They just happen to believe in a little less science and a lot more.
Well, and I had to learn why. So why did that happen? You know, like, there's so many techniques of just filling people's needs and senses of community, group, love bombing. People, I know both my parents are like, you should have really seen me. I was really bad on drugs. And that's what a lot of adult members say to us. Like, you really should have seen us. I'm like, I really wish I could have seen you after like going to NA for 2 weeks and then like going to community college and being a professor instead of like a auditor. Like, that would have been incredible.
Yeah, because when we grew up, it was, bite down on this, touch assist, nerve assist. Oh, you're going to do a knee surgery? Here, we're going to do that on Tylenol. Oh, you're crying? Well, you crawl to the bathroom hysterically, and it's the worst pain you've ever felt in your whole life. Here's a Tylenol. Yeah. That's how we grew up. It's not, some people think it's funny, but that was our.
We're used to taking the pain. Like, I didn't even take Novocaine. Like, wonder why all of us, or a lot of us, have tattoos and stuff. Like, I did not take Novocaine when I would get teeth done because you don't want to have to
relaxing.
Redo your cure. Yeah.
A tattoo is relaxing compared to what we've been through. It takes a little bit of the, oh, that's a little bit of pain I had, but this one is my own choice. Here's all of this because, it's a pain that we chose, not a pain that was given to us. And it's pretty.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Things like my internet's a little wacky, so I want to pull up a couple before we log off here. Just starred ones for you to show you.
Okay. So questions, in other words?
Well, maybe no. They're just comments that have been sent. Some thank you, Pembroke Lev, for sending that. Thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Marilyn E. from California for the super sticker. Blow Drill says, Liz, a lot of people do not want to really know and sit with you holding space. They just want good roads and good weather. I'll hold space for you guys anytime. So that's the point of our channel. That's why we're here, literally. Because
Otherwise, you do. It is a good roads,
it's
good
not
weather.
there. It's just not there as a resource unless you can be in contact with somebody who understands and can hold the space, and also just let you be and be comfortable with that, right?
Yeah, and let's be real, with the good roads, good weather, it's like talking to a brick wall. Unless you're willing to admit that you're in the wrong and they're in the right, it's never going to matter. It's literally a brick wall. It's them saying, like, looking you in the face or writing you a letter, and you see their handwriting where it says, I just can't be a part of your life. And as long as you feel like this, there's the door.
It's
But there's no end in sight.
if you do this, because I'm part of this organization, then I'll do this. Yeah, for sure. And also, I think a lot of people try to relate with empathy during a time when you don't want to hear it. So, like, sometimes it doesn't help. Sometimes we just want someone to be there in our pain and see that we're crying and like hug us, or like not even give advice, because usually you know your problem pretty well. You actually know it pretty well, better than other people might. And of course, we love tips and advice, but
I do. I
it
love the care and
sounds
compassion.
sometimes it sounds condescending because people just become uncomfortable with you being upset or crying or anything, and they just want to do anything they can to help. But it's like, well, have you tried this? And you're like, motherfucker, of course I've tried that. Like, do you see
Yeah, I
that I'm
tried that
like
like 10 days
sobbing
ago.
alone?
Not sure what happened. I don't know if it's just me, but you froze with a very funny face on you. Um, oh, oh. But in regards to the just saying something to people, I appreciate all the kind gestures. I appreciate the people that are helping me find the comics from 1986. I went on a mission and decided I'm going to have every comic ever made in 1986 because that's what I lost. Um, it's something for me, and I appreciate everybody, helping me. Hello. Okay. All right. Okay. You got it. You got it. Okay, so that was unique. So I guess the mics stopped working, and I just want to say thank you all for coming. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for the attention that you brought in the story. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Elise, who couldn't be here. Um, and we're going to sign off for now. And if you have anything to say, I'll try to hit up the notes when I can. All right. Thank you. Bye.